Namaskar and welcome everyone to this virtual international conference organized by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Virtual is the new reality. Digital is the new culture. And if you want to make your business digital, then please do join us. As over the course of next half hour, we are going to focus on the topic, impact of digitization on business finance ecosystem. My name is Amit Arora, and it is my great pleasure to welcome Shashank Kumar, who's the co-founder of the financial services company Razorpay. Shashank, a warm welcome.
Hey, thanks a lot, Amit. Thanks for the welcome.
So Razorpay is a fintech that was established in 2014. And during the course of 6-7 years, it has acquired the status of being a unicorn. Congratulations to you, Shashank, and your team.
Hey, thanks a lot. So I'll probably give a brief intro of Razorpay to the folks who are there on the call, right? So we build and provide payments and financial products to millions of businesses in the country, and our simple goal is to help them in their digitization journey, mostly from a financial perspective, to help digitize different aspects of money movement or different aspects of financial operations, be it payments collections, invoicing, vendor payments, payroll, taxation, compliance, helping them get growth capital, be it like a loan or any kind of funding that is there, and be their partner as the business grows over the years or decades as it may be. Yeah.
Okay, so innovative payment solutions and banking solutions is what Razorpay is all about. My first curiosity though, Shashank Kumar, is, have you ever used a checkbook for making payments?
I have, yes. I think when I moved to Bangalore back in 2015, and when we had to pay some rent that was there. So I think the first time we had actually paid cash, and the second time we had paid via check. And then I think after that we moved to bank transfer. So yeah, I have used checks a lot. And in fact, it's not just in India. I was in US for a couple of years, and I was learning piano with a piano teacher, and she was an old lady, about 55 years old. And I used to pay her with checkbook, even in US. So that was the only check that I used to cut there. And she didn't want to accept any other payment instrument. And US doesn't have any real-time payment system even now, actually, right? So yeah, but thankfully now I don't need to cut any more checks.
But Shashank, tell me from a mindset and a behavior change perspective, for those of us in businesses who still believe in checkbook, who still want duly signed physical documents, how do we bring the behavior change? How do we convince them that digitization can be of help? When you speak to businesses, what are their apprehensions? Why would somebody not digitize, say, the financial journey of their business?
See, we work with a lot of CAs and businesses and finance executives, right? I think we have about 2,000 chartered accountants as partners, and when we work with some of the people or the firms, right? I think most people still don't visualize, still don't have an intuitive understanding of how much positive impact digitization can create for their businesses, right? We ran a survey with InfoEdge, with IDC, and the report is called InfoEdge, where we talked to more than 250 businesses and half our call with each of them as to how much time do they spend on their financial operation or various things that is there. And it is very surprising. Businesses spend close to 1,500 hours in dealing with various back office financial operations that are there, and usually rely on either their own finance team or CAs. And in the CA firms as well, it's not the partner who is doing those operational work, right? It's usually the junior members in the team, because obviously the partner sets the template once. Yes. And onboards the team once, and then it's mostly the junior folks who are sort of executing these things, right? So let me give you an anecdote. In 2015, when my co-founder Harshal, he had to make a payroll sometime, and the fact is, even today, when you have to make a payroll, you have to do a lot of calculations around employee salaries, take into account their investments, figure out how to make TDS payments, ESI payments, PF payments, all of these things, right? And he was on a vacation, and in the he has to still make payroll, right? So he has to spend close to 5-6 hours in the evening in Goa, sitting and figuring out the payroll is proper or not, and correcting any mistakes, or someone's bank account is not correct, some employee's bank account is not correct, right? Someone's document is not correct. So just going through these issues, and we were just like a 15% company at that point of time, right? And then finally execute the payroll. And then when you have to execute the payroll, if you understand like how banking system works, you can only do it from your own laptop, right? Because you have the certificates or something like that installed there. So you can't do it from someone else's laptop. You can't do it from any other mobile. So in fact, he had to carry his laptop for the vacation as well. Right? Now the fact is, all these calculations, all these document collections, all these payment executions, right, is something can be done beautifully by software, right? Today, the way our payroll system works, we provide payroll product to thousands of businesses, right? And most of them is in partnership with chartered accountants, because they are the ones who distribute those products, right? We I think close to, I think, like 85 to 90% of our customer base on payroll is actually serviced by our partner chartered accountants, right? You set up the system once, right? And then payroll execution, everyone becomes a single click process. You just go, you just see whatever the numbers are or whatever. You just click one button. It takes care of all the payroll execution. It takes care of the calculations. It takes care of, figuring out which the wrong bank account numbers are, sending those reminders to employees, and then also making the compliance payments, like whether it's, the TDS or ESI or PF, all those execution in one go, right? And people absolutely love the product, right? But, the challenge is creating awareness around this kind of thing is extremely difficult, right? So going back to the survey that I was talking about, when we talk to people, what is their fear about digitization? A lot of them don't understand what kind of products to use, right? Which products will benefit their businesses. A lot of them call out that they don't have any training on any product, right? Which is where I feel like the people like us, people in the CA community really need to step further, right? Because I don't expect entrepreneurs to be able to figure out the financial tools, right? We have a software called Tally, which everyone uses, right? And it's a wonderful software, and it's been existing for 20 years, right? You can imagine the impact that Tally created in last couple of decades, because before that, accounting was literally on paper. There's there, right? Now the same kind of transformation that happened in accounting and still happening, right, needs to happen in all financial parts of the businesses, right? And the entrepreneurs obviously don't have the requisite training or the requisite understanding of the financial system. They will always want to work with an expert, right? But the experts and the entrepreneurs both understand that digitization is what will really cut down on the operational effort, cut down significantly on cost of doing these operations, right? So that's the true impact at a micro level that you can create for a business, right? You can literally cut down on 1,500 hours that a business is spending every year on doing all the financial operations to like few hours, and you can take that time and spend it back on growing your business or serving more customers or taking a vacation, whatever you see fit, right?
Right. So that means that the entire gamut of financial journey, whether it is account receivables, payables, taxes, payroll, compliances, everything can be taken care of.
Absolutely. We launched a free tool where anyone can go and just pay TDS and GST for any business online, right? It's there on our homepage. You just search like pay TDS GST online through Razorpay. You'll come, and there is no login, there is no account creation, nothing, right? Now what it does, right? When we launched it because we felt like it's a genuine need, right? Typically what happens when you have to pay these tools, pay these fees and everything, right? You have to go through the government portals, right? You have to go through the government portals, fill in the numbers, make the payment through net banking and whatnot. And what is the uptime of government portals? What is the how friendly a lot of these portals are, right? So you're usually fighting them, right? And we launched this service, this free service, completely about 1.5 months ago, and we have already paid close to 20 crore of taxes through that portal. About like 500 businesses who have used them, mostly either them or, mostly it will be the chartered accountants who have used them, right? And we are seeing a lot of word of mouth around the product as well, right? So see, our job is simply how can we better automate compliances and money movement and build products, right, for the finance community, which cuts down on the frustration significantly.
Right. Well, with the eloquence that you use, all of this tax, finance glossary, many of the delegates at the conference may be tempted to think that Shashank Kumar is a chartered accountant. Let me share the secret that both Shashank and his co-founder Harshil have graduated as engineers from the prestigious IIT Roorkee. So my question is, in 2014, when you are setting out to have this startup venture, which is into money, was it a technical domain? How does being an engineer help? What is it that is required to start a startup in financial services?
I think what is really required is that you have an undying passion and no giving up attitude, right, towards solving a problem that you really want to solve. Because see, when we started, we wanted to build something. I mean, me and my co-founder Harshil, we build a lot of side projects, and for one of the side projects, which was to collect donations in India, right, and sort of build a giving culture among the white collar employees, which I still feel like among the white collar employees, there's still not a great donation culture in the country. I still see it more in my parents and more towards tier 2 cities and rural areas, right? But in tier 1 cities, I still see like we don't donate enough. But anyways, that's a separate topic. So we built something to kind of promote that, and we had to accept payments for it, right? And that turned out to be a really bad process, because the incumbents are mostly focused on enterprises because that's where the volume is logically, right? And when you go and talk to banks and everything, that's again like not a great experience, right? So as an engineer, I think every engineer has a different passion. As an engineer, the aspect of moving money through code really attracted me, right? Because it felt like it's a really powerful phenomena that I can write few lines of code and I can move money here from here to here, right? And see, at the end of the day, that's how it should be. That's how simple payment should be, right? That you are able to start collecting payments with 1 or 2 lines of code, 1 or 2 minutes of onboarding, right? But that was not the reality, and that's what attracted us to the segment. We felt there's scope for building a product-focused company, right, for new age businesses, for SMEs which want to come online, right, and solve their payment problems. And as we started running our own business, right, I mean, all of these problems are something that we personally encountered. Paying, making payroll happen, doing vendor payments. We still get, I mean, I'm sure all of you know, we still get questions from tax authorities and other authorities on what is this invoice or what is this legal agreement, right? And frankly, there is no software that was existing that time that has really helps us compile, especially from an SME perspective, right? And now we are building those software that helps solve those pain points, for SMEs and for mid-market companies, right? And we are basically solving our own problems because as entrepreneurs, we understand how painful this is. And when we talk to chartered accountants, they are absolutely like, we really love this product. Like, how can we get onboarded? And they give us a lot of feature requests, you should add this, and that, right? We will make the product more friendly for the finance community.
Absolutely. So Razorpay is a B2B organization?
Yeah, we are a completely B2B organization. Our whole soul, motive, and function is to solve, money movement challenges and financial challenges for businesses in the country.
And how do you see that distinction of probably leaping onto B2C segment as well?
We do have a name in the consumer segment, right? Like Razorpay as a brand is understood, is trusted, right? But I don't think we want to go towards B2C, right? See, the thing is, we have a simple goal, which is how to help businesses digitize in the country, right? How to have them become more productive. I think that goal in itself is extremely important because, as an ecosystem, as an economy, we have to keep growing, right? We have to support the massive amount of, gap that we have in the country in terms of productivity, in terms of growth, right? And I think this is not a statement, right? This is a reality. Like businesses, especially MSMEs, are the heart and soul of the economy, of the Indian economy, right? So if we are able to help move businesses to the new way of doing things, towards using technology, towards leveraging internet, I think it will result into significant boost of GDP of the country.
So
Right?
Shashank,
And we don't want to do anything to kind of deviate from that goal, especially going after consumers. There are more than enough players in the B2C space, right? Be it Paytm or WhatsApp or PhonePe. But we are a pioneer in the B2B finance space, and we want to continue doing that, till whatever time to come in future.
right. Well, that's one of the other mantras of entrepreneurship. Focus on one particular sector and excel in that. So let's talk about the business finance ecosystem. You have a fintech player, you have government or the regulator, there is the MSME, like you said, the businesses, there are the banks, there are vendors, there are professional bodies like ICAI. What role do you see? What kind of coordination is necessary among this business finance ecosystem so that we can leverage fintech for more inclusive financial services?
See, I think everyone has a role to play, right? I think one common agenda that I see, probably among all the groups and entities, is that I think we are very well aligned on the goal of digitization of the country, right? I think we as a company are obviously very much focused on businesses, and I'm sure, even the finance community wants to keep pace with technology and keep leveraging technology for moving forward, right? And I have a simple fear: businesses which don't digitize or which don't move on to leveraging technology will be left behind, right? And that's not going to be pretty. That's not going to be a good thing, right? uh, Today, most of us don't just compete in India. We are competing globally in a lot of sense, because you have uh, MNCs like Facebook and Google, which obviously came into India and offered a lot of services. But you'd see a lot more of that happening if businesses in the country are not able to digitize and compete at that level, right? So I think if you keep that as a goal, right, of digitization of business as a goal, I think at every point, government has a huge role to play to make that push, and especially the regulators have a huge role to play to create progressive policies. And there has been quite a lot of progress on that front, but there's always more to do. Right? The number of compliances that a business needs to do today, it's huge, right? The number that I know, the back of the mind, is that across the country, across the state, there are 18,000 different compliances, everything combined, that is present in the country, right? So how can you keep simplifying this and making it easy for businesses, right? We started doing digital KYC for individuals, for consumers, but for a business today to open a bank account, as simple as opening a bank account, you still need physical KYC. With the pandemic happening, with with everyone, a lot of us working remote, how do you expect a business to do physical KYC and open a bank account? So whenever lockdowns happen, a lot of entrepreneurs get impacted because they can't open a bank account, they can't get a loan. All of those things come into picture, right? So I think that's the role of the regulator. I would say that they have to continue ensuring that they are making progressive policies and helping move the ecosystem forward. Right? I think for ICAI, I think the biggest thing I would call out is that how do we keep helping CAs modernize in the business finance ecosystem, right? Because I'll tell you, we see a lot of obviously a lot of younger CAs who are way more bent towards using technology from the get-go, right? Because they're always on their mobile. They want a lot of things to come on mobile. They all absolutely have a lot of ask from us, right? But the CA community itself is huge, right? So how can we help conduct a lot more workshops, a lot more awareness campaigns, not just for the CAs, but through proper partnership with the businesses as well, right? So for them to help to understand that, look, it's the benefit that you get from using these tools is much more long-lived, right? 5 years later, if you're going to get a tax audit, you will be better prepared if you are able to use digital tools. It's not just the CA who is telling you, right? Like it's the best practice that is sort of there in the market, right? So I think culturally we have to figure out how do we change that mindset, towards all these, towards a better business finance ecosystem, towards a better posture of doing taxation and compliance, where it's not just a burden, right? Where it's a matter of fact, which is due for the course, where entrepreneurs don't need to break their head to go through these things, and they can simply understand that yes, there are people in the ecosystem who care for them and who really wish the best for them.
Right. So digital is growing, digital is sustainable, and digital is for the future. But how would you enlighten businesses on the associated risk if the businesses have apprehensions that how do I trust that the payment pages are secure? What kind of fraud checks are done? What standards exist when it comes to online payments?
So I think for us, we have been heavily focused on, I think, two aspects: trust and incentivization. Right? There needs to be a good amount of trust on digital commerce. And I think that's always going to be a work in progress. When we started, like, the digital transaction volume was much lesser, less than 10 times of what it is today, right? With UPI coming in and everything coming in, like, it's increased in scope significantly. So there are various ways we leverage technology itself, whether it's machine learning or artificial intelligence, to capture fraud, right? And how can we manage it better? We use various signals from the from the consumers itself, because a lot of consumers are savvy enough to identify from the looks of it what looks spammy, what looks fraudulent, and report it to us, and report it to, we in turn obviously flag that and report it to law enforcement agencies, right? What we are doing now going forward is to taking a more proactive step, where we have started highlighting which businesses are actually genuine, what is their history with us, what is their transaction history. So something like a lot of consumers by default trust, let's say, something like Amazon or Flipkart, right? Because those platforms do their due diligence. But what we are trying to do is, how do we bring the same level of due diligence to open internet, where any seller who is coming in, we are able to do a proper background verification, KYC verification. And when you see the Razorpay brand, when you are able to see the reviews, you are able to see the history of the seller, and you can make you can trust the seller with your money, and ensure like you're getting the proper goods and services received. So I think as the digital transactions grow, I think it's going to be a lot of work in progress. And I think between the regulator, the law enforcement agencies, and the fintech companies, and with the right partnership with the ecosystem, I think fraud is something that needs to always be the top priority for any of us, right? And we need to continue ensuring that it keeps going down as a quantum as time goes on.
Shashank, last couple of minutes left. This has been a very enriching conversation. You're already a unicorn, a valuation of over $1 billion. When does the founder decide to go public?
I think that's a great question. And I think recently we raised around at like $7.5 billion valuation. So I think that question has been coming more and more frequently to us. I think of it, this decision as two-pronged. One is that we really need to think the company is ready to go for a public market scrutiny, right? And we see the benefit of raising funds from the public market, and the public is able to understand our business well, right? I think it's a combination of these things, which in some sense tells us that yes, like we would be able to relate to the investors, retail investors that are there. We would be able to help them understand the business that we have, right? I think this is the key factor. Second, I would say is that we think of it like we should be needing to raise funds from the public market, right? Because believe it or not, there's a lot of work involved in raising funds from the public market. Right?
Yes.
I think that initial process is in some sense really distracting, right?
Right.
So you really need to focus on and get through that process. There's a lot of benefits to it, but at the same time, you really need to focus on it and ensure like you get it right? So I think there's genuine reason to raise funds from the public market and benefit of going public. And there are many benefits in the eyes of regulator, in the eyes of, because we are going to be a regulated entity in the eyes of RBI, and it's always better to be a public company when you are regulated than being a private company. So I think that's what I would say is like the second biggest factor. I think the third thing that I would simply point out is probably that there needs to be a lot more predictability year on year on the growth of the business. I still feel like we are a very fast growing business, and there are many ups and downs for the business that keeps happening. Maybe in 3 to 4 years from now is where I would really strongly feel that we have that kind of predictability where we are able to give quarterly projections and yearly projections, and set the right sentiment in the market.
Right, Shashank, almost over with the time, but I would quickly ask you, a cozy job at Microsoft in the US. Many would dream of that. When you decided to chuck that job and start your own venture, how did your family respond?
Well, they responded in the way a typical family responds. I had a very cushy job at Microsoft, very luxurious job, and I had a lot of fun there as well. And I think my life was really good in short, right? And when you are earning in dollar, you're obviously earning a lot more. So my salary also was like something like 1 crore annually or whatever. But when I told my father, he was obviously very, very scared, very not aligned initially, at least. That why would you? Because he asked me a question like, okay, if you leave your job and start a business here, then what will you earn? I said probably most likely zero for quite a long time, whether it's 4 months or 6 months or 12 months, I don't know. So then that was really worrying, because for a middle class family, I think that's any kind of salary is like a great thing, right? And my father has been a salaried professional his whole life.
Is your father proud of you now?
Of course. So even that time, I think the trick that worked for you was to ask my father, look, I'm in US, you are in India. I'm coming back, so you should be happy, because if I don't do this now, I don't know if I'll ever come back. And I think that really hit home, because he absolutely wanted his son to be in India, and everything else is lower priority than that. Right?
Last 10 seconds, Shashank Kumar, do you still get time to play piano, and do you pay your teacher by checkbook or online now?
I don't practice piano so much now, because in remote environment and all, we are sitting so much in front of the screen that I don't want to, do that, like be alone by myself. So usually now I have a wife, I'm married. I usually play a lot of sports with other people, right? So kind of invest more time in my hobbies. And no, I don't even pay anyone by check. I think in last 2 years, 2.5 years, I have not paid anyone in checks, honestly.
Absolutely. Well, I like to reiterate the phrase that you used, that I can move money from coding. That is fantastic. Yours has been a brilliant journey, and your business journey has been inspirational. Wish your team all the best. Thank you so much for joining us for this virtual international conference of the ICAI. Thank you very much, Shashank Kumar.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Amit, for hosting.
Thank you for joining us from the Garden City, Bengaluru. Thank you.